the 17th of January 2022.
Speaking of tennis, some breaking news overnight.
Will come January 17, the world's best tennis stars will hit the Australian Open.
From news.com.au. News.com.au.
I'm Andrew Bucklow, and I've got news for you. Well, put your hand up if you're sick of hearing about Novak Djokovic. I'm just going to assume you've got your hand up because I certainly do. The Serbian's visa saga has really overshadowed the Australian Open, which kicks off today in Melbourne. So, in today's Oz Open themed episode, we're going to focus on some other aspects of the tournament. We're going to be joined by a ball kid who's going to tell us how much they get paid and what the worst part of the gig is. Aussie doubles player Luke Savil is going to reveal what really goes on in the men's locker room. It's not as dodgy as it sounds, I promise. And we're also going to take a look at some of the most awkward post-game interviews from years gone by.
Honestly, are you asking me this? Yeah. Is it a serious question or is it a joke? Is it serious?
Now that's awkward. Joining me now is news.com.au sports editor James Maddy. He is here to give us a preview of the Australian Open, which finally starts today.
I'm the sports editor. Why didn't anyone tell me?
I know, I'm as concerned as you are.
Well, when in Rome, I guess I could talk about it. Yes, Oz Open, big first Grand Slam of the year, goes until Sunday the 30th of Jan. That's the men's singles final. The women's singles final is on the day before, the 29th, the Saturday night. I don't know how much money you get paid to do this podcast, Bucky.
Not enough.
I don't get any commission, so I assume you keep it all. But big bucks on offer. Lots of prize money. 75 million.
$75 million.
Singles winners, so both men's and the women's, it's equal prize money. They both get $2.8 million, whoever wins the singles titles, and then the runners-up get $1.5 million each.
Gee, I wouldn't say they're losers, just pocketing $1.5 million each.
Well, even if you just turn up on day one and get through your match, you walk away with at least $103K.
Bloody hell, we are in the wrong business.
I just got angry looks from my dad when I lost my matches, and these guys get $103,000 if they lose in round one.
All right, let's talk about Ash Bardi. She's, of course, the Aussie who is the world number one. How's her draw looking for the Australian Open?
Yeah, look, so she's won the French Open and Wimbledon, but hasn't broken through at a home Grand Slam. Her best result were the semi-finals in 2020. She's in really good form. She just won the Adelaide International, so she'll go in as the favourite, world number one, top seed. She does have a really tough draw, though. She's got a couple of tough rounds early on, Camilla Giorgi in round 3, but the big one, Naomi Osaka. She's won 4 Grand Slams. They could meet in round 4, the 4th round. So a lot earlier than you'd normally expect two players of that calibre to meet. And then it only gets harder from there if she wants to go all the way.
Now, James, I sit next to you in the news.com.au office, and I know that you, like so many Australians, are sick to death of Novak Djokovic. He has ruined your life in the past couple of weeks. You've been working 24/7, covering all the breaking stories. I'm pretty sure you haven't even changed your clothes in the last 3 days. You must be relieved he's not playing.
It's not unusual for me to wear the same clothes 3 days in a row. That's just my poor fashion sense. Nothing about my hygiene, I swear.
That's sad.
You are right. I am relieved that the saga's over and that at least we have a decision, right? And if it means that my workload has decreased slightly and that's a positive to come out of it, well, then so be it from a purely selfish point of view. But yeah, obviously no vax, no play. He came over, thought he had an exemption, didn't work out, had the visa cancelled, had it overturned in court, and then got told, actually, no, at the end of it, you're going to have to go home anyway. So a big hoo-ha, all for nothing because he's not playing.
Yeah, it was a total mess. So who is the favourite to win the men's side of the tournament now that Djokovic is not playing?
Look, Daniil Medvedev from Russia would be my pick. He beat Novak in the US Open final last year, so on hard court, really good hard court player. Made it to the final of the Australian Open last year, and he's my pick for the favourite. There's also a couple of others, Alexander Zverev from Germany. He's looking for a breakthrough. Stefanos Tsitsipas, he hasn't won a major yet. He'll be desperately hoping to make the most of Novak not being there. Rafael Nadal hasn't won since 2009, but, no Federer, no Djokovic. Could be time for a comeback.
Now, before I let you go, rumour has it you've prepared some fun facts about the Australian Open. I'll be the judge of how fun these actually are. Take it away, James.
And calling them facts is very generous as well, Bucky. So, number one, the Australian Open was first played actually at a cricket ground on St Kilda Road in Melbourne, 1905. And back then it was known as the Australasian Championships.
Okay, well, I'll give that fact about 6 out of 10.
Well, you gave it to me, so I'll turn the blowtorch back on you. This one I came up with myself, though. Since then, since 1905, the Australian Open's been staged in 5 different cities. We've got Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane and Perth. And it's actually gone to New Zealand twice. We obviously felt sorry for them, so I thought we'd give them a bit of action.
Okay, well, that's a better fact than the first one. You've really got to bring it home with fact number 3.
I assume there's been a drum roll played after that, so I'll carry on after that.
We'll put one in for you now.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so do you want to know what the longest match ever played at the Open? Don't answer. I know you do. 2012 final. Novak Djokovic versus Rafa Nadal. 5-setter that finished in the wee hours of the morning. This is the moment Novak won.
When they write the story of the great tennis matches ever played, this one has got to be right up the front of the book. 5 hours and 53 minutes. Novak Djokovic is the champion in Melbourne for the 3rd time. That was simply extraordinary.
5 hours and 53 minutes. Oh my God. That is hell on earth.
Yeah, that's a lot longer than I can do certain things, Bucky, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking about 5 seconds. Marlo Jenkins is a 17-year-old from Melbourne, and he was a ball kid at the Australian Open in 2020 and 2021. Marlo, firstly, how did you become a ball kid? Talk to me about the process.
It starts off around March or April, and most kids will register online at the Australian Open website, and from there, everyone will be invited to level 1 trials. And I think it's around 6,000 kids who apply. So from there,
jeez,
yeah, it's a lot. You do like a few exercises, drills and stuff, and you'll be assessed by some of the team members at Tennis Australia and the ball kids team. And from there, if you're successful in that stage, you'll be invited to level 2 trials, which is pretty much the same exercises and stuff, but at the National Tennis Centre where the Australian Open's held. And then if you are successful through that stage, you then get invited to the train-on squad, which is where you train, I think it's once a month until about October or November. And then from there, you'll get an email asking letting you know if you've been accepted into the tournament squad or another squad for a different, lower level tournament. So I think around each year, it's only around 100 ball kids from the 6,000 applicants who are successful.
Bloody hell, it's like the Hunger Games. One thing I've always wanted to know, do you guys get paid to be ball kids at the Australian Open?
That's definitely my most asked question when it comes to ball kids. We do not get paid, but at the end of the tournament, we do get kind of like a gift at the end, just like a thank you gift. I think in my first year we got AirPods, which is pretty cool.
Oh, geez, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was good. But we do get, I think it's like $25 on our accreditation just for food, drinks, all that kind of stuff, throughout the day. So, but no pay though.
What was the present you got the second year?
I got a Fitbit last year.
Oh, okay.
Which I ended up actually selling, so.
All right, so what's a typical day for a ball kid when the tournament is on?
So we usually start either in the morning, 10 or 11 a.m., or the afternoon, or a night shift, which is 6 p.m. So you'll come in, you'll sign on, there's a big board that has everyone's names on it and their court allocations. You'll get a briefing, basically just letting you know just a bit of an overview for the day, the weather, what's it like out there. You'll head to court 10 minutes before you're scheduled to get on. You'll meet your supervisor for the day because each court has a supervisor that kind of looks after the squad for the day and assesses you and gives you feedback as well. So then we'll jump on court. It's usually 45 minutes on and 45 minutes off. So jump on court, get another briefing once we finish. And then, yeah, it's pretty much a repeated process. We'll go back to the ball kids lounge, usually eat, drink, just relax a bit and then head back out to court.
Okay, talk to me about that lounge. What's in there? Obviously a bit of food and drink, as you mentioned. What else?
So the lounge is underneath show court 2. So it's a bit hard to get to sometimes, but there's bean bags, chairs. There's a PlayStation in there, actually, a few TVs. It's pretty cool down there, air conditioned as well, so they don't get hot in the summer.
You've been a ball kid for 2 years. Who are some of the big name players that you've had the chance to be a ball kid for?
Roger Federer is definitely probably one of my favourites.
Oh,
I had
yes.
him. I had Roger Federer and Ash Bardi in one night, actually. That was my
amazing.
That was my first time on Rod Laver Arena, so that was pretty cool. I've also had Stefanos Tsitsipas from Greece. I've had a few big players over the last few years.
What's it like being out on the court with these massive players and you've got the crowd watching you, there are TV cameras? Is it stressful or is it a bit of an adrenaline rush or a bit of both?
Oh, definitely a bit of both. Sometimes I remember my first time walking out there and you think, oh no, everyone's looking at me. What if I stuff up? But in reality is, you're just in the background. We've got to do our job. But definitely stressful at times, especially during a tie break because the balls are changing ends so often and players are as well. But huge adrenaline rush as well. As soon as you walk out onto Rod Laver Arena, full crowd, it definitely does pump you up a bit, like a lot more than the outside courts, where there's maybe a few hundred people at best watching compared to like 15,000 on centre court. So,
Can you give me some of the golden rules of being a ball kid? Like, what are the must-dos and don'ts?
definitely the don'ts. Do not talk to any players.
Right,
Maybe
okay.
sometimes when you're on court, you can say if the player asks for balls or a towel or whatever, you can maybe ask them depends on the situation really. But also you can't take photos with the players as well when you're off court, because sometimes we do see them, kind of behind closed doors, I guess. And another big one is you cannot sit in the stands and watch the games. I don't want people in uniform sitting in the stands watching the game,
Spewing. That's half the fun, I would have thought, going to the tournament, getting to see all the matches.
Yeah, well, sometimes you can get changed and kind of just watch for a bit. But, yeah, definitely not in the uniform, that's for sure.
Have you had any embarrassing moments on court?
I've had maybe a few dropped catches here and there, which crowd isn't too happy about sometimes. So I've been hit as well, especially on the outdoor courts. The distance between the baseline and where I'm standing isn't long enough sometimes. So maybe on a fault, you get one right to the body.
You haven't been hitting the nuts, have you?
Or maybe once.
And what's the best thing about being a ball kid?
I think it's just being out there, having fun.
Yeah.
You do get to meet a lot of new people. Like I've made a lot of good friends from doing ball kids over the last few years. But yeah, definitely meeting new people, and as well as just being out there on court, watching the best players of the world go at it.
And what would be the worst thing about being a ball kid?
The worst thing, I think sometimes the heat really does get to you, especially on the court. It's a lot warmer. Also, when we used to handle the players' towels, you get blood and sweat on their towels. It's not nice.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Marlo Jenkins, thank you so much for chatting to I've Got News for You.
Thanks for having me.
Luke Savil is an Aussie tennis star who's ranked number 23 in the world in doubles. Not bad. He joins me now. Luke, from a player's point of view, out of the 4 major tournaments, where does the Australian Open rank? Is it the best, the most fun?
Yeah, I'm probably a little bit biased. I live in Melbourne and I'm an Aussie, but Aussie Open's an incredible slam. I think amongst the Aussies and a lot of players, to be honest, it might rank number 1. They do such a great job looking after players in general. Craig Tiley does a fantastic job. The venue's incredible. Obviously, the home Aussie support is awesome. And yeah, just really looking forward to getting started. Very pumped the Aussie Open is on our doorstep.
Now, one thing I've always wondered, is it right that at the Australian Open that all the men's players share the same locker room?
Yeah, I think there's probably 2 that we're all in, yeah.
So what's that like? Is it like a serious kind of environment, or is it a bit jokey?
It's obviously, quite serious. There's pockets of the change room that I guess all the players hang out in. There's a bit of an Aussie corner that we all sort of, sit around and chat. And all the Aussie players in general get along very well. So our banter's, quite good. But it's at the end of the day, it's sort of a business. So there's definitely some high tension, but especially before matches and early in tournaments, it's very busy. But I guess all the players are sort of friendly to your face, but it's obviously very cutthroat sport, very savage. So you obviously can be chatting 1 minute in the locker room, but then playing sort of the next day. So playing against one another. So it's just it's interesting how it works like that. You get a little bit of gossip every now and then in the locker room, but yeah, I think we see each other week in, week out on tour. A lot of the players, so you have to be civil, you have to be nice and get along, but you're sort of you're competing one another and you're sort of fighting for that paycheck. So it's a difficult one, but it's in general it's okay. Sort of the feeling and the vibes in there.
You've said it's civil, but is there a lot of intimidation in tennis? Like, are there sneaky little tactics that you guys use to try and put your opponents off?
Not me personally. There's definitely sledging that can sort of happen on court, but that's really not that great for your reputation, and I don't want to be known as one of those guys. But yeah, in terms of putting off, you sort of you know the sort of guys that I guess you can probably trust a little more, and then others that you can't. But yeah, it's no, not really.
I heard a story years ago, I don't know if this is true, that Philippoussis was playing in a doubles game against the Woodies in Adelaide, and to try and put them off before the match, he walked up to them in the locker room completely starkers.
Wow, that probably would put you off. That would rattle you a little bit.
Don't know if that's true or not. Now, you've dedicated yourself to doubles. Your playing partner is John Patrick Smith from Queensland. Have you guys developed any secret hand signals that you use to communicate on court?
Not really secret. There's kind of hand signals that all the doubles guys use. It's just basically where you're going to serve and where you want the net player to move. And the net player will initiate that because, obviously your eyes are forward and you can do it behind your back. So, it's just, no real secret ones. All the guys sort of use very similar ones. But no sort of secret handshakes either. We're just pretty standard. The knuckles or the high five were pretty simple guys, JP and I.
So can you give us one of those? If all the players use the same signals, like what does one finger up behind your back mean?
I guess like the middle one. So your rude one pointing down, that would just be like a body serve, and then your pinky would just be like the out wide or the T serve, depending on which side you're serving to, and then your far one or your thumb would just be serving the other way.
Well, I was planning to wrap up the podcast now, but news.com.au sports editor James Maddie has begged me to come back in to do another segment. He wants to talk about post-game interviews, specifically ones that haven't gone well, Jimmy.
Yeah, miracle. I'm still the sports editor even after that first segment, that dumpster truck of a segment.
I'm pretty shocked, to be honest.
Bit offended that you asked me to come on and talk about post-match interviews that haven't gone well. Just like my career lowlights are entertainment for your listeners, are they?
Your whole career is a low light. Now, I just want to talk about the clashes that have gone on between journalists and tennis players, because it's really ramped up in the last couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. So for those of you out there who don't know, all players are required to attend post-match press conferences right after their matches. They generally try and get them out of the way pretty quick so they can go off and do their recovery. They've been normal for years, giving us journos the access we so rightly deserve as the most prominent members of Grand Slams. But they really came into focus last year. Naomi Osaka, who we spoke about earlier, she's won 4 Grand Slams, but during the French Open, she said she wasn't going to speak to media at post-match press conferences.
That's right. This was a huge story last year. She basically said that she had been suffering with depression, and she found that the negative questions in some of the press conferences were too much for her. And I think she ended up dropping out of the French Open altogether, didn't she?
Yeah. She left the tournament. There was such a huge media storm around it, and you think it's not that big a deal. I don't want to answer a few questions, but, it's about getting the Grand Slams exposure, and talking to the media is part and parcel of that for players. She was actually fined for taking that stance, and the Grand Slams, all 4 of them, sort of released statements saying, players have a responsibility to talk to the media and to talk about the game and to, keep the sport in the spotlight. But, she's not the only player who doesn't always enjoy press conferences. They're not always going to be great, especially if you've got to go straight after a long, grueling match. And this year, every player's going to get asked about Novak Djokovic.
Which would be so annoying. I really feel for those players. But come on, let's take a look at some of the most heated exchanges between players and the media in the past. What do you got for me?
One, Nick Kyrgios, surprise. He's famous for his fiery post-match interviews. I don't think I made the cut in these ones, thankfully, but I've got a few in my back pocket. But have a listen to this little tete-a-tete, little culture for your podcast.
Oh, a bit of French. Thank you very much.
Have a listen to what he said with a reporter in Wimbledon after he got a code violation during a match.
You said he did a horrendous job.
Is that bad language, is it?
It's not.
Have you never said a swear word before? Have you said a swear word in your life?
Well, it's not a bad
No. Can you answer my question?
No.
So you've never sworn in your life?
No, it's your job to answer.
No, it's not. He actually asked me the question.
You said what?
I think it's his question, mate.
Is
it his question?
The answer
but it's his question. It's his question.
Oh, Nick wasn't happy, was he? I do love listening to him. He's a real character.
Yeah, he's probably the most interesting person on tour, even if he can insult you and make you laugh at the same time.
All right, what's another bit of a blow-up between a player and a journo?
All right, we go back to Rafael Nadal. Actually got married in 2019, and he was in a bit of bad form, possibly a bit after, because a reporter asked him in one of his post-match press conferences if getting married had actually affected his game.
Oh, let's have a listen to Nadal's response.
Honestly, are you asking me this? Yeah. Is a serious question or is a joke? Is it serious? Yeah. Yeah.
It's not something that you do it and that's it.
Okay. I'm surprised. It's a big surprise for me. You ask me this after being with the same girl for 15 years and having a very stable and normal life. Doesn't matter if you put a ring on your finger or not.
Yeah, wasn't impressed by the question, and fair enough too. I mean, pretty stupid question. Come on, James, you're a journo, lift your game. All right, another one, please. Another fiery moment between a journo and a player.
Well, you remember Andy Roddick?
I do. He was a bit of a babe.
Oh, I'm not going to comment on that. But
Classic heterosexual response.
I don't objectify people. I prefer to focus on their personalities and their tennis ability. And he was a former world number one from America. But a reporter once asked him after a match if he was considering retirement. And old mate Andy, less than impressed.
As for retirement, who do you think, Federer or you would retire?
I think that you should retire.
Oh dear, yes, not a chappy. Okay, you got another one or is that it?
Last one. A funny one, I promise, I think. And again, just another reason why players sometimes hate these post-match interviews. So we go to Nicolas Mahut, who's a French player.
Mahut?
I don't have any jokes for that. Did he have a tete-a-tete? Who knows? But after losing a first-round match at the French Open, he rocked up to his press conference, obviously not in the best mood. And this was the first question he got.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I lost.
You lost?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, what happened out there?
Are you serious?
No.
Did you watch the match?
No, I didn't. I was told that you won. I'm sorry.
Question en français, s'il vous plaît.
Oh, that's so awkward. He lost the game and was asked if he won it. How embarrassing. Well, speaking of embarrassing, James Maddie, thank you very much for coming in. That is the end of today's episode. You should probably get back to work.
Yeah, I might actually change my clothes as well now that you mention it.
Thank God. Catch you later, guys.